So an alternative to putting your tubers and into a cool area like this is to leave your tubers in the ground. You can do that if you're in a warm area like California, where your soil doesn't freeze. If you're in New York or someplace like that, you need to definitely pop your tubers out, or that's probably the best solution for that. You could, here in California, if you don't want to pop them out, you could tarp the area or put tin foil over the hollow stems. So when you cut your dahlia plants off, they actually are hollow, kind of like bamboo, and then you can put a piece of foil over that to protect the rain from going inside, or you could tarp the whole area and do it that way. Sort of the downsides of leaving your dahlias in the ground is gophers can eat them, or if they get too wet, they can rot in there. It's also hard to plan the number of tubers that you want for your garden. So because they're underground, you can't see what tubers are viable, which ones have eyes. So it's a little bit difficult, and also most of the time you're popping them out in April, and the tuber sales happen in November, December, January, February, those kind of months. So it's kind of hard to tell and plan your garden. Another alternative might be to put them under your house where it's cool. Ideally, you're keeping them at I think I said 45 to 43 degrees. That's the ideal temperature. The tubers won't sprout. They won't think it's spring. It's not warm enough for them to sprout. So that's ideal. If you don't have ideal, do the best you can. So the other thing I wanted to show you is if you have your dahlias stored away, you want to come in and check them every couple months or so just to make sure they're doing okay. Sometimes your peat moss is too dry and the tubers start to shrivel. What you're really looking for, let's see if this one is good, is you're looking for tubers that are really firm, like the way they went in, so they're nice and firm and not shriveled or wilt, or if they're too dry, they might be, disappear almost. But also here in the cooler, you want to check and make sure they're not getting too moist. If they get too moist, they can get rot. They can start to rot. And how I check that is, one, I can see here on these clear that I've got a lot of moisture in this one as compared to like this one here. So I'm going to check this one, and what I'm doing is checking the lid and seeing if there's moisture, and you can see there is moisture. It's also dripping off of here. This is too wet. I wouldn't recommend keeping this one closed up. I would recommend kind of taking the top like this and letting some air in there for maybe like 3 to 5 days until this has a chance to kind of dry out a little bit. What you're really hoping for is something like this, where the lid doesn't have moisture on the lid, but your tubers have a little bit of moisture here in the peat, and they're looking really firm and not shriveled at all. So that's pretty much it for storing your tubers, and that's it.